I love being able to have this second visit before worship because Sunday morning starts out very relaxing for me. But then actually, the 3 hours that I'm in right now are the most exciting time of the week. And this is actually sort of culminates right now in this sermon because it's really exciting. I got about 9:15. I think this is true of LE too. This is an exciting 3 hours. 9:15, we start a traditional service. Right when that's over, we come over and I take my robe off and I come over and teach our new adult Sunday school class. And right after that, come out here, and it's an exciting. Always new people, always talking to new folks. It's an exciting time. And a lot of fun. Definitely the funnest part of the week too. And of course, after the sermon, pray and do other things that are a little more mellow. And it's a lot of fun. It's interesting, though, even in the midst of all that activity, if I think about it, I'm kind of focused on other things, but it can actually be kind of a lonely time. Because, I don't have time to talk to anybody for more than just a minute or two. And a lot of the people that I really know the best here, I talk with the least because I want to meet and get to know the new folks here. And so it can be, even in the midst of our busiest times, we can be lonely. And it reminds me that there are, loneliness comes to everybody. I mean, if you're a student, even surrounded by other students, that can be a lonely time for you. If you're older, you can be lonely. If you're young, too. People who live alone, surely, loneliness can come to them. But loneliness can come to those of us who are in the middle of a busy family. We just don't, we feel like we're on our own sometimes, that others don't understand, or we just feel by ourselves. And it's true, boy, it's really true when we get sick. That's one time we can feel really lonely. We're sick, and I don't think anybody else can really understand what we're going through. But it can come upon us when we're well. It can come upon us when we're grieving or when everything is going great in our lives. Loneliness is a condition we can all suffer from time to time. And that's why I like this story of Elijah. I mean, he is at such a lonely moment in his life. Elijah, he lived about 800 years before Jesus, and he was a prophet in Israel. And we're a little surprised, actually, at this point in the story to find out that he's lonely, because he just had the biggest victory of his life. The biggest victory, celebrated. He had gone up on top of a mountain called Mount Carmel, and he had kind of had this competition, this battle with 450 priests of Baal. And their sponsor, Queen Jezebel. And it sort of had been Baal and this false god against the one God, the true God. And of course, Elijah, just God's power behind him, had an overwhelming victory. I mean, it wasn't even close. He had completely defeated these other priests and prophets of this false god. And we think, God, why are you lonely? Why are you sad at that moment? But then we remember some of our loneliest times can come right after the party is over. Right when the Christmas tree comes down. It's the 26th of December, or maybe the 2nd of January. We're sitting in our living room and we see a little piece of wrapping paper under the couch and pull it out, and suddenly that loneliness comes upon us. Now, so we can relate to that. There was a great general once that said the only thing that can be more depressing than a victory, or it's actually not quite as depressing as a victory, or as a defeat, is a victory. Victories can make us sad. And it's true, we reach some goal in our lives, and that's when we can feel the saddest, the loneliest, right after we've achieved something special. And that was true of Elijah. He'd achieved a great thing, and now he was lonely. He was calling out to God. And God brought him through that. So we go in his story and we see him lonely and desperate and sad and fearful and alone. And we see him then move through that and really become a stronger person, become a better prophet throughout this process. And I'll tell you, you never see God in a more hands-on, proactive way, working in somebody's life, trying to help them get through a specific problem or an issue. And that's important for us to see, because God is going to be here helping us and will help us through our fear, through our loneliness, whatever trials we're facing. God can help us through them if we'll invite him in, if we'll allow that help. So let's look at this story of Elijah and see what God did to get Elijah through this, from his lowest, most desperate moment back to his ministry, back to being a prophet, back to doing the things God called him to do. And I like the first thing in this story that God says to Elijah. God says to Elijah, Elijah, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? See, Elijah was in a cave. He was way out in the wilderness, and he was complaining about being lonely. And God was a little bit taking him to task, saying, your problem is here, and being alone, and here you are putting yourself in a lonely place. And we can do that too. We are experts at that, putting ourselves in a lonely place. We do it actually physically. There are lonely places in our lives. There are those who do not want to leave their homes, and they become lonely as a result. There are members of busy families who do not want to leave their room, and they become lonely as a result. So we can physically put ourselves in places where we are lonely, far from other people, far from those we love. But we can do it emotionally. We can do it spiritually too. We can put up those blocks between us. How many times in every marriage does that happen? In every friendship does that happen? When you're just not connecting. Somebody has put up that block, that block between the two people. And we isolate ourselves in that way by not being open and not being sharing, by not sharing our needs and our concerns and being willing to hear from the other person. We can do that emotionally, putting ourselves in this cave in the wilderness. And so here's God saying, well, first you need to get out of this cave. That's the first thing you need to do. And God's going to go on to say, what you need to do is to get busy. Go over there to Damascus. Go to Damascus. They need a new king in Syria. And go anoint this person as king. And he names that guy. Go anoint this guy. And then go down and Jehu. Jehu's a good guy in Israel. Go down and anoint him to be king of Israel. And then you know what? You're going to need somebody to take over for you. You need a good disciple. And I like that Elisha God said. Go down and find Elisha. The cure for the first step in this cure to loneliness, to feeling alone, put yourself away. Don't separate yourself. You've got to connect with other people. And not only is the God calling you to go out and talk to people, He's saying, do your ministry that I'm calling you to. Your purpose here in this world. Go out there, and there's that guy in Syria who should be king. And he's not. And you need to get him from where he's not king to where he is king. You need to help him in that way. And the same thing with Jehu down in Israel. You need to move his life forward. You need to make his life better. And the same with Elisha. He needs to be a prophet. Why don't you have him as your disciple? Get out there and not only talk to him, but help him. Move him forward. That's the first step God has for us to do. Now we're feeling lonely in our lives. Look and say, who am I connecting with? And not just talking to, not just visiting with, but who am I helping? Who am I bringing God's blessing to? I mean, I got God's light inside of me. Who's it shining on? What difference is it making in this world? God is calling us to make a difference. God is calling us to connect with others. That's one reason we gather here. We come together as a church, and every week we have a welcome here. And we invite folks here who aren't members to join our church. That's not to increase our membership rolls. That's not to make us feel better about ourselves because someone joined. We do that each week because we want everyone to know, and we want to be reminded ourselves, this is a welcoming place. This is a place where those who are lonely, those who are seeking, those who are needing a community can come and they can find a community here. Come together is the first ingredient, and it's really, it's like the aspirin that you take. When you have a headache or you have a cold, you take that pill, and it really helps you with the symptoms. Well, being with others, connecting with others, helps with the symptoms of loneliness. But it's not a cure. Boy, that'd be nice if that were just the cure. Just, you're lonely, go out and be with other people. But we know that's not true, right? Because some of our loneliest times in our lives have been when we've been surrounded by people. That can be a very lonely experience, right in the middle of a crowd. could feel lonely. I kind of felt that way just a couple of days ago. I was in Texas. We went down to New Braunfels, and we floated in the Comel River. It's the shortest river in the world. It's only like a quarter of a mile long, half a mile. But you get in and you float. Let me tell you, it was packed with people. You're just people everywhere, all around. And there were a couple of times we kind of got separated on that river. There was that big crowd of people all bobbing there, floating on the river around us. And even in the midst of a great crowd, you can feel this sense of loneliness. Being with others isn't the whole answer. There's another step as well. And I tell you, we need something else other than people around us. There's another ingredient, more than just adding more people to your life. And that's having something within us. Some resource within that we can go to during times of loneliness. And we read about this in as a scripture reading Ellie read for us a few moments ago. Once again, God tells Elijah, get out of there. Get out of that cave on the mountain because I'm going to be passing by. I'm going to come on by in that area, and there's a wind that then blows so strong it cracks stones open. But God isn't in the wind. And then there's an earthquake, but God isn't in the earthquake. And then there's a great fire, but God isn't in the fire. But then there is the still small voice of God. The still small voice of God. That is the presence of God in our lives. That's the way we so often feel it. Yes, God does come to us in the great miracles, in the amazing moments, in those fantastic mountaintop moments of insight, but God is always available to us. Always with us. No matter the storm, no matter the fire, no matter the earthquake, God is available. And it's actually one of the greatest gifts of our faith. Jesus Christ said, I will not leave you comfortless. I will comfort you. I will be with you. Lo, I will be with you until the end of the age, Jesus said. And then the Apostle Paul put it in a way that I just love. Nothing in this world or the next can separate me from the love of God in Christ Jesus. It's the availability of God's presence in our lives. And it's a shame that there are so many that go through church, raised in church, and know everything about church, know the responsibilities of church, the vocabulary of church, know theology and the scripture, that know our rituals and our traditions, that don't know that presence of God. Have not, for some reason, grabbed on to that greatest gift of our faith, the feeling that God is with us every moment. Every day. That's my prayer, is that we can feel that in our lives. Make that available to us. Because I tell you, it's a two-stage plan God had for Elijah to move him from where he was in that cave to where God wanted him to be, to where he was going to be fulfilled, where he was going to be content, out in the world, doing his ministry, doing his mission. One was knowing, Elijah, you will never be alone. You don't have to worry about being lonely. I will always, always be with you. The other was getting connected with those around him. That's the remedy for us today. I mean, when we face loneliness in our life, and those moments inevitably come upon us, to be able to make ourselves connect with others, to make it something that we actually put some effort into. And as we do that, we hear better that still small voice of God. And as we hear God's voice more clearly, we're more impelled to go out and be with and help others. It just builds upon itself. That's what got Elijah up. That's what got him going back, doing those things he needed to be doing. And that is something through our faith that we can all feel today. That connection with others, the connection here with one another. But also knowing that God's with us. Out of the earthquake, out of the fire, out of the wind that blows, God's presence is with us. Calming us, curing us, inspiring us. To that I say, praise be to God. Amen. go. Loving God, we do give thanks for this opportunity to be here, to be together. Loving God, we do ask that you help us to feel throughout this week ahead, even in our moments when we are feeling the most isolated, help us to feel your presence and do that inspire us to not only connect with you, but to connect with others. It is in Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.